Hey guys, welcome in. So today we're making some Russian support spindles. And we are turning cherry right now. I do have some hard maple ones coming up as well. So you can see it's running nice and true. It's exactly what we're looking for. All right, we're going to gather up some wood chips. We're going to burnish the surface. Think of burnishing like a friction polish. We're going to add a little wax. So if you're just tuning in, we're making some Russian supported spindles, which are used to spin yarn. We'll get there. Some days it just has a mind of its own. Give her a test spin. Hello, how's it going? Alright, so I have all my lines laid out, and basically it tells me where things happen. So we're going to start working on this cove here. So I'm just going to use a small carbide circle. So we're not bringing it to the final dimension right now. I just want to set the diameters on either side. Hello! How's Stefan doing today? Oh, I can't complain. We have a show this weekend in Minnesota. And we're in Wisconsin, so it's not that long of a drive. So we're just kind of finishing up some little things. Oh, we're running wide open right now at 3,500 RPM. to turn it down a little bit because I'm sanding, but life will go on. All right, now we're going to burnish. Oh no, I've been doing this a while. This is our 11th year of doing this full time. Yeah, normally I make top whirls and Turkish drop spindles. But I do some others like these. Gonna add a little paste wax. Sure. All right, now we're going to put it in a bowl and give it a quick spin. That'll work. Aw, thank you much. We're gonna use the center finder. All right, so I got it lined up towards the center, but I'm not going to put my pin in yet. So backed it up a little bit. I'm going to start it up. And then when it's running, I'm going to set it in. Yeah, it's a 3D printed center finder. And then I got a laser cut center finder. And then one from the store. I got a little one around here somewhere too. I've got a little pen one that's on like a keychain. Yeah, it works. I mean, all depends on what size you're working with. Sometimes it's just easier to make a tool than going out and buying it. So on the bottom of my Turkish spindles, I laser engrave the business name, the type of wood, and the weight of the spindle. And today is like the first day my girlfriend is doing it by herself. So I'm here for moral support. So we're doing a little cross training today. She's just about done. So yeah, we're using a little X-Tool F1, so a little galvo laser for that. So we'll get her going on that one, then we'll move her up to the 40 watt galvo, and then we'll move her to the 40 watt CO2 laser. Alright, I did turn the speed down. Just grabbing some more sandpaper. Alright, that looks good. Now we're going to form the bottom. I don't want to block your view, but I also don't want this flying across the room. Now we're going to chuck it up this way. So I have a little collet that I made out of I 3D printed it. This is a TPU, so it's a flexible filament. Yeah, I really like the four-jaw chucks. I've got a few of them. I tend to either work with square stock or circular stock, so... So yeah, these are the Nova G3 chucks. Hey, is it Tabor? Hello! Definitely. You just crank it down. And the majority of the work I do, this is a midi size lathe. I don't make big things. And by having the smaller lathe, it prevents me from making bigger things. So, can you make me this? Oh, sorry, I can't. My lathe isn't big enough. The chuck? I'm not even sure. Yeah, so this is a Laguna Revo 1216. So, 12-inch diameter bowl, 16 inches long. Alright, so we're going to go to hard maple now. Yeah, and when I 3D print stuff, as far as like jigs and tools and stuff goes, I go with colors that are not going to be in my workshop. That way they stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah, so 16 inches. Sorry, I only speak English. Yeah, the print's really small, like 2 feet? Yeah, 2 feet, not 2 inches. So what I'm doing is I'm taking away some of the bulk, but I'm making the end smaller so I can back off the tailstock and make sure this is running true. Yeah. So like my pencils, I put magnets on them so I can stick them to my tailstock so I don't ever have to look for a pencil. I understand that I am wearing an apron today, but I don't always. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, this one isn't exactly straight. I can see I got quite a bit of vibration there. Hopefully, when I bring it down to size, we'll be alright. Let's take a peek. Looks good. That is the wrong one. That's not going to tell me. Because everything's plugged into that switch. Yeah, this is hard maple. The majority of them, the ones with the style handle, these are all Sorby's, Robert Sorby out of England. And then I'm still using a couple of these. These are Harbor Freight ones. And then the carbide were, I don't know, on Amazon. Yeah, the Robert Sorby stays sharp a lot longer. It's a much better high-speed steel. But the Harbor Freight ones were, what, an 8-pack for $80? Where, you know, each one of these are over 100. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Harbor Freight ones. You know, these were like the $80 set, so they weren't the cheapest ones. And they work fine. There we go. Yeah, I'm not, anti-Harbor Freight or when or whatever you want to use. I mean, hey, how's it going? Not too much. We're just finishing up some stuff. We got a show this weekend. You try to get as many old tools as you can, refurb them. Oh yeah, definitely. Hello! Sorry, my friend, I only speak English. I'm a little rusty with my Cyrillic. How often do I sharpen my tools? It depends on how much I'm using and what kind of wood I'm using them on. Every couple days, if I'm doing little stuff, if I'm cutting like cherry. Yeah, we have some chip out here, so we're just kind of adjusting the shape. So I want to leave as much mass as I can, but I got to get that chip out. And for sharpening, I use CBN wheels on my low speed grinder. Oh yeah. I'll show you my sharpening station as soon as I'm done here. Hello. Yeah, I really like burnishing with wood chips. You're already making them, you know. Might as well use them. I mean, burnishing gives you a much smoother surface. So I don't have to sit here all day going down in the grits. Alright, as far as sharpening goes, so these are my CBN wheels. So it's kind of like a diamond wheel, but it's a cubic boron nitrate. So that's not going to change sizes on you. So, you know, I made this jig here. I set it up here. That'll set my my angle. Now, depending on what I'm sharpening, the 45 degrees is going to be my gouges. So I'm going to take my gouge here. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to mark the edge. got a nice new edge. So I'm just sharpening. I'm just taking a little bit off. I'm not reshaping. I'm not grinding a ton of material off. I'm just honing that little edge there. And with the CBN wheels, you don't have to have the guard on there. Because like I said, like the white ones, that's that composite material, it's pressed together. You could chip those and they can explode. So that's what that guard's for. This isn't going to do that, so you don't need the guards on it. See if we can get back here. You have no abrasive flying around your head? No, that would be a bad thing. Taking out your eyes. Hello, Pablo. Happy 7 de Mayo. How do you make the angle to be 45 degrees on the sharpening station? So this registers against the wheel. So you touch that against your wheel and you bring it down, and this is the angle. That's the 45 degree angle. And then you just set your height, the angle of your bed there, your tool rest. Here's a 25 degree angle one. So you can see how much. Yeah, these are nice. They do sell, I think they're called Raptor ones that are commercially made. I think I got the patterns from these off of, I think it was Thingiverse. You know, but you have to use it with like the CBN wheel. You can't use it with the compressed wheels because they start shrinking on you, and that throws everything off. Yes. For the grinder. Kip handle, and you can adjust that. Move it in and out. Yeah, the Tormacs are insanely expensive. They're really nice, but for what I do, I'm perfectly happy. I've got a 150 grit and a 600 grit wheel. Oh yeah, it'll work. You know, if I was using a lot of hand chisels and mallets and stuff, you know, a Tormac might make sense. know, with lathe tools, you kind of leaving a little burr on it's okay. You don't have to sit there and strop it. I have no impacts on your tools. I'm not sure. Oh, as far as you might be taking off a little bit more material, yeah. Your chisels might shrink a little bit on you. I'm just gonna start running an angle down. No, not on these. But, you know, if I was carving with chisels, that'd be different. It would be a time saver, depending on what you're doing, yeah. For lathe work, yeah. I don't think it's personally worth it. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it all depends what you're making, what you're doing. You know, if you're framing, you really don't need a Tormek. I mean, I sharpened for quite a while with just like a belt sander. But you can see I'm not doing that anymore. Woo! Don't do that. Still sharp. A high wind. Yep, this is hard maple. Yeah, these I tend to make out of either hard maple or cherry. Birch would also be a good choice. Especially since these are quote-unquote Russian spindles. I mean, they've got the birch. I got a little wax in there, so. Ah, paperwork, yep. Hey, thank you so much. Absolutely. I'll try not to reshape my truck. Oh, that's neat. I'm like, what is she vacuuming? I set something down on my remote. Yeah, have a good one. So we got 6 done. So 4 cherry, 2 maple. So we'll do another one. Yep. I've got all 10 of them. Pretty amazing. MH, how's it going? Yep. Now, I don't know if you could see, but the wood chips are like flying this way. So I just have a little fan here. This is a fan from one of those little inflatable Christmas decorations or what have you. So I put a magnet on it, and I'm just trying to try to keep things kind of in this direction. Which RPM do I use? Right now I'm running at full speed because this is pretty thin. So usually around 3,500 RPMs. When I'm sanding, I'll probably turn it down to about 1,600. Yeah, quick. But it's also pretty small, too. Hello, Germany. Yep, you have a great day too. Alright, turn the speed down and start sanding. Yeah, so these are kind of mid-price. And the price does dictate, you know, how much refinement goes into it. You know, the type of wood, all that comes into play. Knew it was close. add a little wax. Alright. Yeah, that's spinning like garbage. So that one's going in the fireplace. Just gonna clean up for a couple seconds here. I felt like it was getting taller and taller over here. Turns out it's just standing on a bunch of wood chips. Alright. Let's go. Yes, exactly. I can't agree with you more. Yeah, I've been really super busy lately. Careful not to prick yourself. Yeah, so we had a show 2 weekends ago in Madison, Wisconsin. And then we had a week, and then we got a show coming up this weekend in Minnesota. But after this one, we'll be done until September with shows, unless we pick a couple up. These are Russian supported spindles. So these you spin in a bowl, and they're good for short staple length things. Like, like rabbit or cotton. So short staple length, short fibers that are going to be thin. That's what these are for. So I don't make a ton of these. I've probably only made a couple hundred of them. Alright, I'm happy with that shape, so we'll turn it down and sand that out. Alright, we're going to turn the speed back up and burnish. Add some wax. Alright. So this one all of a sudden has a ton of vibration in it. We'll finish it up and take a look at it. I think this one is also going into the fireplace. That's okay. Yeah, so with these, there's really no efficient way of balancing them. So either they're good or they're bad. There's no, I could fix it. Yeah, there's a little vibration to that one. So 100 years ago, that'd be fine. Today, it's going in the fireplace. Alright guys, well, I have an appointment. I'm going to have to run, so thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you guys again, probably the beginning of the week. I am going to be recording the whole festival as far as setup and everything. So early next week we should have a pretty lengthy video of just doing a show. So, alright guys, we'll catch you later. Thank you so much.